bit of TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys, and welcome here to a Barcelona news roundup, and it's certainly needed because there are things that we need to discuss on the Barcelona front. Of course, we are going to have the latest on the fitness of Ousmane Dembele ahead of that massive game on Wednesday against Lyon, and we're also going to have some transfer news relating to Ligt, which I wanted to bring you now for quite a few days, and also Jovic, and we are also going to have some news on Lionel Messi. It's all coming up right here. Let's do this. But look, guys, I don't want to keep you waiting. I want to tell you straight away what the latest is on the fitness of Ousmane Dembele in yesterday's game against Rayo Vallecano. He started, of course, on the bench, but he was brought on straight away at half-time. And I have to say, Dembele came on and he changed the game. He linked up brilliantly on that right-hand side with Nelson Semedo. That's where the penalty came from, linking up with Semedo. He got in behind and won that. And Dembele certainly was in good form. He looked fresh, he looked fit. But unfortunately, after that game, after the final whistle went, he was sort of massaging his leg. He was obviously not feeling great. After the game then he went for more tests, and then the news came from Barcelona themselves that there was concern over Dembele and that hamstring, and he has indeed picked up a slight knock, which puts him in serious doubt for participation against Lyon on Wednesday. And I just want to read you the official statement from Barcelona, because I think there's several things here that we can take from this statement, because it reads as follow here: the player picks up an injury in the game against Rayo Vallecano. FC Barcelona Medical Services have confirmed that after tests, the first-team player Ousmane Dembele has a slight hamstring strain in his left leg. So there they describe the injury as being slight. That's a good sign, certainly. It's nothing serious, but all we're thinking about here is that Lyon game. They then go on to say how the injury develops will decide whether he is available for that game against Olympique Lyonnais in the Champions League on Wednesday. The forward picked up the injury in the 3-1 win against Rayo at the Camp Nou on Saturday after coming on at half-time to replace Arthur Melo. Now, from that statement there, guys, there's two things that I would take from that. Number one, like I said, the injury is not serious, so you don't have to worry completely on this one, simply because after that Lyon game, Dembele should be back, no problem at all, because it's nothing serious, and that's good signs. What I would relate, though, to that game on Wednesday against Lyon, I think here we're not going to hear anything until Wednesday, until that squad list comes out. We are not going to know whether Dembele can play or Dembele won't. They've simply done the tests here. They're keeping their cards very, very close to the chest. I think they're going to give Dembele every chance possible to recover in time. They won't risk him. They won't take any risk whatsoever, but we're not going to hear about it. They're going to leave us guessing, and most importantly, they're going to leave Lyon guessing. They're not going to be wanting to show their cards. They're not going to want Lyon to know we're definitely going to be without Dembele, and I think here we're going to see a very similar situation that we saw with Lionel Messi before that upcoming Clasico in the Copa del Rey. We waited until the last possible second to basically tell us whether Messi was going to play that game. He was named in the squad, he was then named on the bench. The same thing happened in the Champions League when he had that arm injury and he recovered from that. He went on the plane to San Siro, he was in the squad, but he never appeared against Inter, simply because we wanted to keep the opposition guessing. We wanted to keep them in the dark, and I think the same is going to happen here. We are not going to hear until the squad is out, until the game even starts, whether Dembele can play this one, but like I say, they will give him every possible chance, because without him, he is a colossal loss. And the way I see it with Dembele, he will be a massive loss if he cannot play against Lyon, but the way I see it, there are three possible players that could come in and replace him in this team. The first one, obviously, would be Coutinho, simply because Valverde seems to favour him in the front line. He's an expensive player, he gets a lot of minutes. Coutinho could come in there on that left-hand side of attack, he could play as part of the front three. Coutinho is an option. The most obvious option for me, though, would simply be Malcom, simply because Malcom and Dembele are similar profiles of players. They're both wingers, they're both players who can keep their width, they're both players with a bit of pace. They are similar players. Coutinho is a very different player from Ousmane Dembele, and that's why I can't really understand why Valverde consistently plays Coutinho without ever really giving Malcom a lot of minutes. Malcom here is certainly the genuine replacement of Dembele, but whether it'll happen, I highly doubt that. And the final person that I would include in this list is Sergio Roberto. He's somebody who Ernesto Valverde, just like we saw in the first leg against Lyon, he can play him and Semedo together down that right-hand side, but of course, that is a more defence-minded change. It is something that we would see then possibly four across the middle, a bit more defence-minded, and at home against Lyon, that's not really the approach that we want to be going with, but again, I wouldn't rule that out, certainly, under Ernesto Valverde. But like I say, Malcom there to me. If Dembele can't play Malcom there, out on that right-hand side, maybe start on the left, but again, like we said in that Real Madrid game, you can start on the left, but then work your way over to the right when Messi comes inside, and we already saw him link up very well with Semedo against Real Real Madrid in that Copa del Rey fixture, and it'll be very, very interesting to see if Dembele can't play, what is going to happen. But now on to some transfer news, guys, away from the Barcelona first team for now. I want to talk about Luka Jovic, somebody that we have spoken about a lot recently in connection with Barcelona and in connection with a possible move in the summer transfer window. And I mentioned a few transfer roundups ago, basically, that Barcelona had scouted Jovic an incredible 14 times so far this season, and according to an updated article from Mundo Deportivo, we have now made that 15 times this season that we scouted Luka Jovic, because according to MD, Barca scout Goran Vucevic, he was present in the crowd during Frankfurt's 0-0 draw with Inter Milan on Thursday in the Europa League. However, actually MD go on to say, even though he scouted him 15 times, even though he's a striker that's young, very good profile, 15 league goals this season, 6 in the Europa League, even with all that, he is still not a priority for Barcelona this summer. MD have actually stepped back on this when they said, look, Jovic right now, he's not their top priority. Barcelona do have other options, and that's certainly interesting and something to bear in mind. One player, though, who according to Onda Cero is certainly still in Barcelona's mind is none other than Celta Vigo striker Maxi Gomez. Release clause of 50 million euros. We've spoken about him also on a lot of occasions, and Onda Cero there saying that he is actually Barcelona's top target right now. They want somebody from La Liga. He fits the profile. He's very good friends as well with Luis Suarez, of course, the player that he's ultimately going to be replacing. And Maxi Gomez remains on Barca's radar and potentially, right now, just ahead of Jovic in that queue. But I wanted to bring you, like I say, for a few days now, some big news on Matías de Ligt, simply because both Mundo Deportivo and also AS in the Spanish media have both come out very recently linking de Ligt to a move to Barcelona. And they basically said Barca's interest in de Ligt is serious. They do want to sign him this summer, because up until now we've been sort of in a bit of a debate. Do we need de Ligt? Can we afford de Ligt? Those are the big questions surrounding this move. And according to MD, they basically say that de Ligt has informed his agent to postpone any answers to any other offers they receive, simply because they're waiting for Barcelona. They want to see whether we come in, and if we do come in, what sort of proposition do we have for Matías de Ligt. And AS actually go even further with that, and they basically say Barca can afford this transfer. They can afford to make that move, even with De Jong coming in for very big money. They can get de Ligt as well, but potentially they would have to sell Felipe Coutinho this summer to finance it, and that is going to be very interesting indeed to see what happens surrounding Coutinho and surrounding that entire de Ligt deal, simply because in an interview with Cadena Ser, Bartomeu himself also admitted that de Ligt would be an option come the summer transfer window. In that interview, he said certainly de Ligt would be on our list of targets heading into this summer, and also in that interview, Bartomeu outlined his plans to renew Lionel Messi, and that's now we move on to the Messi news. Bartomeu said in that interview, we will renew Messi again, make no mistake about that. So they want to renew his contract, and certainly that is an option. And MD have basically followed up on that Bartomeu story with something of their own. They basically said the club's ambition right now is to renew the contract of Lionel Messi, and what they ideally want to do is renew him beyond the end of the time when the presidential elections will take place, which is 2021. They're trying to renew Messi until 2022, and possibly even a best case scenario would be to renew Messi until 2023. That, of course, would be another bumper deal for Messi, and of course, one that he will ultimately certainly deserve. But also some news on Lionel Messi. All of you would have heard this earlier on this week. He has now officially returned to the Argentinian national team. That was confirmed earlier on this week. He will now play a part in their upcoming friendly games against Venezuela and Morocco. But I just wanted to say about those games, no long journeys for Messi will be included. Both of those trips, friendly games, will take place in Europe, which is great news really. He's not going to be flying to and from Argentina in the upcoming international break. He's going to be staying in Europe, back with his country, ahead of course of the Copa America, which will be coming up this summer. And of course, Lionel Messi has his eye on that trophy, and we are all hoping that he can get his hands on it. And so that's basically it from the news today on the Barcelona front. All the news, of course, though, all about Dembele. That is going to be massive in the coming days. We are going to be discussing it in a lot more detail. Of course, the tactical preview and the match preview is going to be coming up next week. Ahead of that Lyon game, we are all hyped, but we want Dembele with us. If he is ready, we want him to play, but if he's not, no risks should be taken. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Like I say, so much coming up in the days to come. I hope that you'll be joining me. I'm absolutely sure you will. Thank you, as always, for joining me. But until then, as always, Vesca El Barça.